Hi everyone, I'm Soft Seaside and welcome to this new video. I've mentioned my webcomic AC New Insights quite a few times on this channel already, and I claim myself a comic artist, so today I finally want to talk with you about it in more depth. We will talk about the origin of this comic, the story itself, and why I decided to start over a 800 pages long comic of 12 years of work. 863 pages to be specific. 12 years of my life all over again. Okay, hear me out. There's a good reason. Okay, there's a good reason why I would do this to myself. I promise, okay? Get you some tea and snacks, cause this will be a long one. Oh boy. I will link the old version in the description if you want to check it out or if you want to have more context about what I'm talking about in this video, but it's not necessary. By the way, I will switch between the words manga and comic in this video because it used to have a very heavy manga influence and was drawn from right to left, but with the years I feel like comic is the better term for it. So, let's talk about the origin of AC New Insights. It must have been around 2009 or 2010 when I started this comic. Sadly, I don't know when exactly I started my comic. I pretty much don't have any original pages of the first chapters anymore because me, an unknowing little girl who had no idea about image compression, uploading formats and print format and so on, edited, resized and compressed and changed these first pages so much that I don't have any of the original files anymore. That makes me really sad, and I couldn't tell you when I started my comic. I'm very sorry. So why did I start this comic in the first place? Back in my teenage years, there was a German website called SchülerVZ where you could meet up online with German students. It was before Facebook existed and it was like the German social media website for young people. It was very popular back then, but it has been closed down many years ago. I made some internet friends back then, some of them who I'm still in very close contact with. I'm very happy about that. And one of these internet friends was Sonia, who I'm not in contact anymore. She was a really nice person who had a job pitch profile picture. It was just a really nice girl who shared a lot of interests with me, and she told me that my drawings are really nice and I should start a manga story. And naive and optimistic teenage me who loved making comics since kindergarten was like, sure, and I immediately worked on it. Sonia, wherever you are, I hope you're doing well, and I want to thank you so much for making me start this comic. I am so unbelievably grateful. Because of this comic, I made some really good friends and I learned so much. I grew as a person and I found my life passion and dream, and therefore I'm so endlessly thankful for you. I hope you're doing well. And so, after a few days of character designs and coming up with an idea, the first page of my comic, Atarashi Shizuki, was born. What does Atarashi Shizuki mean, you wonder? Well, it's pure gibberish actually. I Google translated new knowledge into Japanese when I was like 30 pages in, and I figured out that I need a name for the comic. Google Translate gave me
新しい知識
but I remembered it wrong. So the official name was Atarashi Shizuki. And yes, I'm pronouncing it wrong by saying Atarashi Shizuki. It has been just a habit now. I'm very sorry. The acronym that I actually always use instead of the real title is AC. AC? Like in the official English title AC New Insights? I wonder where this name comes from. Anyway, here are some of the character designs I could find that I made in that 1 week, and let's look at this beautiful first page. Oh boy, we always hated drawing backgrounds and it never stopped. Okay, let's talk about the story, shall we? It's the first day of high school for our 16-year-old protagonist, Yui Asaruka. Asaruka, not Asakura. I'm very sure I just made up a name I thought sounded Japanese. And she meets a very handsome boy, Shiro Watanabe. Another random name I liked. And I googled Japanese most common family names. She instantly develops a crush for him until she finds out that he's the school's crush. The most popular guy in school everyone is fawning about. Oh no! Yui then quickly decides to brush his feelings aside to avoid being hurt, but then decides to become friends with him instead. And who would have thought? They become really good friends. Shiro seems to be a chill, down-to-earth, and nice guy, not an arrogant, self-loving narcissist as Yui thought he would be. They spend some time together, and after 2 weeks of school, suddenly 2 new students joined the class. Because of course you need some mysterious exchange students. The new students, Yukiko Tanaka, this name actually means something, and Naoki Nakamura, or Nakamura. The name constantly changed. I have no idea what his actual name is. They are quite odd and mysterious, and they stalk Shiro. They follow him everywhere he goes, ask him very invasive questions, and seem to know him before coming to school. A lot of stuff happens, and Yui finds out that Yukiko, Naoki, and Shiro have supernatural powers. They belong to a secret organization called Shizuka, a secret organization for supernatural humans, which are called Senshis, also Google Translate, thank you, who fight against evil monsters who manipulate the memories of humans, called Rimaini Kira, which is Google Translate for memory killer. But I think Google Translate just made the word reminder and killer Japanese sounding. To fight the monsters and the group of people who worship these creatures, they have to fight the last Hana, translates into flower in Japanese, an extremely strong kind of senshi who were killed many years ago. While finding out about the mysteries of her friends, her family, and the world, Yui discovers secrets about herself she never knew about. So technically, this comic is just my version of the shonen manga with all the stories I loved. Supernatural powers? Check. Monsters? Check. Secret organization? Check. A ton of characters who all have their very specific backstories? Check. The very first chapters are a mess. Super random jokes and storylines, all the manga cliches you could think of. There's even a boys love subplot just because my friend loved BL and I wanted to make her happy. I am queer myself, but I was never into BL and I just added this to make her happy. Like Shiro and Naoki are just kissing, just because. I had no idea how the world worked, what to plot and whatever. I just came up with everything on the spot. I must admit, I low-key love that. When you are younger, you really just embrace your ideas without any shame, and I really admire that. Cringe culture is dead and we should just embrace the stuff we love. That being said, let's talk about the art. Oh, the art. I actually don't want to shame my old art itself. It's how I drew when I was younger, and I don't think that's something to be ashamed of. My art fortunately improved significantly, but I still look very fondly on my old art. My problem is something completely different. My parents used to be very strict, and I was terrified of using our family scanner to upload my comic pages on the internet. I thought that my parents would not allow me to upload anything online and would be very mad at me if they found out, and I really didn't want that. The internet was something very new and scary back then, so I was really terrified. So instead of drawing the pages on paper and then scan them on my PC like a normal human would do, I would draw my manga on MS Paint. Yes, you heard me, MS Paint. The very cool old Windows XP version, not this high quality program shit. Don't go away with that. I drew 174 pages with the mousepad of my laptop, and I didn't have a drawing tablet for 3 years, and I edited pages with a free program, Photoscape. And with editing, I mean smashing the individual comic panels together to resemble some kind of paneling. I don't know, y'all. At some point, I made the smart decision to switch for the coloring to GIMP or GIMP, I have no idea. And I used a mouse. I still used MS Paint to draw my line art, and I gotta be honest, I think my skills were insane. I am, no joke, really proud of younger me that I could draw this good with this ancient program. Really shows that you don't need the most expensive tools to create art. When I got my first graphic tablet with 16, a long dream of mine, I switched to my first true love, Paint Tool SAI. Great program, I love it. At some point, I switched to Clip Studio Paint EX because of great comic options, but I will always love Paint Tool SAI. That being said, my paneling was still like it used to be, a mashed up collage of individual panels. I started proper paneling in mid-chapter 14 with page 287. That's like 3 years after I initially started. Don't ask me why I did it, I have no idea. Probably because I was too afraid of trying out new things. But as you can see, I made a lot of mistakes and I learned from it a lot. Not only my paneling, also my art in general improved immensely over the years. I learned so many things while drawing this comic and I'm glad that I started on a whim. If you want to learn how to draw more efficiently, faster, if you want to draw literally anything, I would highly recommend you drawing a comic. As time goes and I grew as a person, so did the comic. The story matured a lot alongside with me, the characters developed very intensively and the art improved so much. This comic really shows how much I've changed as a person. It became something deeply personal to me. That's why it took me forever to upload my comic on the internet at all. I was drawing it only for me and my friends and sent them the pages, and I uploaded it like 9 years after starting it. I think the English version came out in 2019 or 2018, I'm not sure. I was very scared of bad reception because it was such a personal thing for me. I put so much energy, so much love into this comic. I always wanted to learn new things about the world so I could use them as inspirations for this story. And maybe I'm just a bit biased, but in my opinion, the comic is actually really good. Like from volume 3 onwards, it's really decent. I was so proud that you can see my growth as an artist and as a person in this comic, and seeing the difference between the first and last chapters. I always thought that this was the biggest charm of this comic, but this is also where the problem lies. In 2022, I decided to discontinue the old version and I decided to reboot my 800 pages long comic that I have worked over a decade. I've talked so much about how much I love this comic, so why am I starting from scratch on? My last comic update on Tabbers and Webtoon explained my decision very well. I will link them in the description so you can read it yourself. Otherwise, just stay here and I will tell you why I made this decision. There are 3 main reasons for that. Reason number 1, the structure. Building your story so spontaneously is really something I like. In a previous video of mine, I told you that I'm a gardener storyteller. I love to see what happens with the story. I don't plan every detail. My characters act on their own. But with the newest chapter, I just couldn't keep up with all these world building inconsistencies and plot holes that the beginning caused. As much as I envy my younger me to just start the ideas in her head instead of overthinking everything, I wish she planned a bit more. The beginning is a mess. I felt very limited in what I could do with the story and the characters because it all has to be based off this messy start. Every time something didn't make sense, I had to come up with a reason for that and I had to retcon so much. This time, I want to make the world building at least a bit more consistent and have an actual structure to the story, even if it's just a loose one. Also, the page formatting is a complete nightmare and this really bothers me because I always wanted to print AC. But try formatting over 800 pages of different page sizes without going crazy. This time, I would do a lot of research to see what format is the right one for printing and stick with it. Reason number 2, lack of diversity and reflection. My worldview has changed significantly during the 12 years I drew this comic. I mean, I sure hope it did. But that also means that there are a lot of bad scenes, lots of bad dialogue and lots of bad takes I would never approve of nowadays. Stuff that I find very inappropriate, sometimes even offensive and problematic. And as much as I love to see how much the comic changed since the beginning, I don't want people to read the beginning and think that this is a representation of me as a person. That people think that I'm a bad person when in reality I was just a teenager who lacked critical thinking and had a lot to learn. A lack of representation of people of color and LGBT plus characters really bothers me, especially as a queer POC who grew up in a very white environment. Diverse representation in media is super important to me, and that's why it bothers me so much that there's such a lack of it in my own comic. I will try my best to represent different kind of people authentically and not based on weird stereotypes. Of course, I will make mistakes, but I also always aim to become a better person and I want to learn. Reason number 3, Japan and Japanese culture. As many anime and manga lovers, I was fascinated by Japan and its culture. character. Therefore, this manga was drawn from right to left, depicts Japanese characters and Japanese culture, but I'm not Japanese and I have never lived in Japan. Even though I've always tried my best to research, I am very sure that I got things wrong. And I don't feel qualified enough nor comfortable to create a story about Japanese people. If I ever hurt someone with my lack of sensitivity, I am truly sorry. So these were the main reasons. What will change in the reboot? There are a lot of things I want to change. Structure, character designs, plot, world building. But of course, a lot of elements from the old version will stay because I love them. And lots of future events that haven't been shown yet will be revealed in the reboot. I want to think about it like a more refined version of the old comic. But to be honest, I don't know how much will stay and how much will change. But that's kind of exciting, isn't it? I have many plans, and as I said many times on this channel already, I want to take you with me while rebooting the whole comic. But what does that mean? I want to take you with me step by step to complete my reboot comic to-do list while also sharing some tips with you that I learned during my 12 years of creating AC New Insights. I want to share with you the process of remaking the series, to show you the knowledge I gained over the years and use that to start all over again. I would be super grateful if you come along with me during this makeover. Sharing this process means a lot to me, and I hope that you will also enjoy my comic videos. I want to use them to hold myself accountable to finally reboot it. And yeah, is there anything you would like to see or want to hear me talk about regarding AC New Insights or comics in general? I also want to give this comic reboot a cool name. I was thinking about something along Comic Crafting Corner or Comic Creation Journey or Come Along Comic. Let me know what you think about these names, or if anyone has a cooler name, because I'm very sure you have. Write it down in the comments below along your wishes and maybe I will pick it up. That's it for now. Thank you so much for listening to me rambling very long about my comic. I really appreciate it. You can check out the old version in the description, but you can also just wait until the reboot is released. But it will take a lot of time, so if you are bored while waiting, you can just check it out. See you in the next video. Bye!